Hello viewers, welcome to the channel Amazing Civil Engineering Studies. In today's video we are going to discuss about what is monolithic slab. Monolithic definition. Monolithic construction is a procedure where utilizing a homogeneous mixture, a structure is monolithically constructed. It is a structure constructed from easily material, assembled as well as excavated. Both monolithic slabs, walls, stairs, along with the door and the window openings, are cast in place in the monolithic method. The on-site procedure by utilizing specially made, easier to utilize modular formwork prepared of aluminum, plastic composite with less manpower and machinery effort. The lateral and gravity load resistance system. In this system contains reinforced concrete walls and slabs of reinforced concrete. The main vertical structural elements are reinforced concrete structural walls with a double function in withstanding both the gravity and lateral loads. Monolithic footing. A monolithic foundation gives just one pour, such that the foundation is constructed to replace the footers with a sole pour made of a concrete floor with thicker sections under structural members and both sides of the perimeter. It is considerably smoother and maintains the cost of production down because the slab is poured together at once. Building monolithic foundations is very simple. It is probable to do each of these in one day. A monolithic structure has a thickness of just 12 inches, 1 foot. Through favorable reinforcement, this is the base for value, price, and design of preference. It is similarly considered to express, 2. What is monolithic slab? Monolithic slabs are base structures constructed with a single concrete pour, usually containing a 4-inch thick concrete slab with thickened internal sections beneath load-bearing walls and always thickened at the edges of the perimeter. In concrete slab construction, a monolithic slab is a phrase utilized to define concrete structural components such as footings, slabs, foundations, grade beams, piers, and columns that are poured simultaneously. Not simply does a monolithic cement slab apply to concrete cast on the ground, but it similarly corresponds to the suspended slab. The usage of shoring materials makes the pouring of concrete slabs monolithically with concrete beams and columns, while a suspended concrete slab is over the ground level. Construction of monolithic slab is considerably faster and the labor expenses are low, as in this slab the concrete is poured all at once. The monolithic construction is crucial for minimizing the thickness of the wall, minimizing the width of the base, and minimizing the seismic effect. Monolithic foundation for slab. Monolithic means single pour, which highlights the main point of difference with this type of foundation. It is poured all in one go. The truth that it is poured in one go prepares it a quicker procedure, which enables to keep labor costs low. The concrete slab that is poured is thicker on the exterior to support the load-bearing walls, and there are no footers around the exterior. The monolithic foundations are nicely suited to flat ground. If the ground surface is not flat, then an amount of fill dirt is utilized to level off the ground. In time, this can lead to difficulties with cracking if the ground is not appropriately compacted. Generally, the concrete surface is poured monolithically or independently from the footing. To avoid cracking due to settling, rebar or fiber mesh is selected. It receives less time and labor for construction than the conventional foundation. Advantages of the monolithic slab foundation. There are several advantages of the monolithic slab. Speed of construction. Monolithic slabs are very simple to construct. Add the periphery trench and disperse the gravel until you have compacted the soil, or removed the topsoil. In the narrowest part, for example, in the middle of the home, the concrete has to be 4 inches thick and will mainly carry a few days to dry totally. This is extensively quicker than any different method of construction of foundations. Resilience. In terms of simplicity, the monolithic slab foundation would last almost 50 years if constructed correctly. Because of the lack of complex components, there is nothing wrong with the slab itself. There are no joints in the concrete, and as long as the help and anchor bolts are appropriately installed, you have a sturdy foundation that can deal with a lot of weight. Poor maintenance. To maintain it in decent shape, there is nothing you require to do on a month-by-month basis, as long as you provide it an inspection at regular periods to assure that there are no energy efficient. There is not any space between the ground and the house for monolithic slab foundations, which implies you don't have to spend too much energy warming the air below it in your house. For even a basement or crawl space, there is a continual waste of energy. This says that not just is a monolithic slab base cheaper in the short term, but in the long term, it will conserve your money. Disadvantages of monolithic slab foundation. There are several disadvantages of the monolithic slab. No access. The crawl space or basement gives access to the floor, which assures that in this particular space you can establish plumbing and the electric panel and wiring. Similarly, if anything goes improper with a monolithic slab base, you cannot achieve it to fix the difficulty. Expensive repairs. While things with monolithic slab foundations rarely go improper, when they crack, it can be extremely expensive. Mainly, you require to utilize techniques that can cost thousands of dollars, such as mud jacking or base jacking. Poor weather. The home is just raised 6 inches or so from the ground level with concrete slab floors, assuring that the rest of the building is vulnerable to floods. This is a considerable vulnerability in particular parts of the world. How to form a monolithic slab. The satisfactory site planning and strengthening of the concrete are the important criteria for the construction of a monolithic slab. Soil. That is by far the comfortable selection where the concrete is mixed for presently and supported enough of steel so that it doesn't separate. Except there is joint tightening, there are no seams or cold joints. No usage of precast footings is prepared. It is essential to compact the soil below the slab and not include any organic matter. If the topsoil is scraped up, then it will generally cement the undisturbed soil below them adequately. It is significant to drain the soil well. It is crucial to account for water flows. An adequate redirection must be prepared so that it does not undercut the slab. Perimeter trenches. The thickened perimeter of a monolithic slab is constructed by a trench along the circumference of the slab. The trench can simply require to be a foot deep and a foot wide in warm weather. The trench will require to be as deep as 2 feet in regions that get penetrating frosts and may be insulated to stop frost heaving under the slab. Gravel. The compact gravel is dispersed under the slab and in the trenches to a depth of 3.5 inches to 4 or more inches. The well-draining gravel with aggregates ranging from 0.38 inches to 0.75 inches is an outstanding choice. Reinforcement. The reinforcement is around 6 inches by 6 inches. 6x6 woven wire mesh is utilized in a conventional installation, which is positioned on rebar chairs so that it can be fixed near the intermediate of the completed slab. To reinforce the thickened perimeter, the 4 rebars are usually specified. There in the lowest portion of the trench, 2 consecutive bars can be placed next to each other, from 1 bar in the top portion. Rebars should be put in the trenches and repeatedly bound up. Concrete. Most of the time, the concrete is defined as 3000 psi as well as a minimum of 4 inches thick. A minimum of 6 inches above the underlying floor should be at the end of the slab. The ground that surrounds it should slope away from the slab. Anchor bolts. The anchor bolts with 0.5-inch bolts, the lowermost plates of the formation walls are held to the slab. On the ends that are positioned into the concrete while it is already wet, these bolts are generally J-shaped or L-shaped. The different sides of the anchor bolts are threaded so that the top side of the wall plate can be tightened against the nuts. Generally, anchor bolts are spaced 6 feet from the intermediate. What are some problems with a monolithic foundation? Despite the comfort and ease of establishing a monolithic foundation, problems could arise that can compromise the foundation. The foundation can need expensive repairs, which indicates that it could be nice to go with a conventional foundation. The typical difficulties found with a monolithic foundation are cracks in different household regions supported by the foundation. Foundation cracks are a huge region of concern. When the foundation cracks, the foundation can insulate at the cold joints, wall meets slab. The little openings make it easier for water, moisture, and bugs to enter the home. Difficulties with an increase of moisture in the soil or improper construction can compromise the foundation. It may lead to countertops, floors, and walls in the house becoming unlevel. Movement in the foundation can guide to doors and windows that stick and break in sheetrock walls. When to avoid the monolithic slab foundation for construction. Contractors should avoid utilizing monolithic slab foundations, monopolar, in the following situations. Home sites that are sloping can lead to costly expenditures because of the quantity of concrete required. Home sites with several dirt-filled holes under the home lead to cracking in the concrete. A construction company cannot construct a monolithic slab foundation in a flood zone due to code provisions. Proper site preparation for monolithic slab foundation. The soil below the slab should not include organic matter. The soil requires to be compacted, disposal of topsoil, and well drained. Code enforcement specifies the type and positioning of reinforcements in this type of foundation. The considerably commonly utilized is monolithic slab for rebar. Rebar is two metal bars that bend easily and are positioned side by side in an overlapping fashion, in the trenches and linked with wire. The trench along the periphery of the slab is what generates the thickened edge. Building code officials specify the depth and width of the trench. This trench can be 1 foot wide and 1 foot deep in warm weather, or 1 foot wide and 2 feet deep in environments that experience frost heaving. Monolithic construction. The monolithic construction system with the aluminum formwork is a rapid and disaster-resistant construction, an occurring development that produces cost-effective and fast mass residential properties. Monolithic architecture is a mechanism through which slabs and walls are positioned simultaneously. In this particular system, a fresh cement mixture is positioned into a lightweight aluminum, creating a device with reinforcing bars required for the requisite strength. The procedure is relatively simple as the walls as well as slabs are cast in one go. This is desirable for multi-story building construction, allowing rapid widespread construction. By enabling better usage of time, resources, and construction materials such as cement and steel, this technology gives quicker alternatives to quickly growing housing shortages in urban areas. When we go for mass housing, it gives rapid development at optimized cost and time, especially for economically weaker sections and low-income classes that are high in number without houses. It is a highly useful technology that simultaneously generates it simpler to concrete all elements such as roof walls etc., resulting in a structurally extremely sound monolithic construction. The technique includes untrained and semi-skilled, handheld labor and therefore does not need costly building machinery to be utilized. Thus cost-effective, modular structures in popular accommodation developments give new opportunities for formwork to be reused, creating the technology relatively cost-effective. The formwork material, either aluminum or HDPE, is environmentally friendly and eliminates the usage. This system enables outstanding quality management of the entire framework in keeping with BIS and different international standards. There is no requirement for tiles, blocks, and plaster. The superstructure and foundation expenses can be lessened without sacrificing strength because of the decreased dead load of around 50%. The box-like behavior almost generates extremely strong structural strength, rendering it resistant to earthquakes and wind or cyclones toward vertical and horizontal forces. The wonderful finalized surface eliminates costly plastering and strengthens surface that is relatively fully waterproof. Due to reduced wall thickness, more carpet space is available for a provided plinth zone. Monolithic concrete construction leads to accurate preparation and guaranteed regulation of consistency. When a monolithic slab foundation is the best option. In some weathers, a monolithic slab foundation is a decent choice. These are mainly in wet climates and temperate climates. Wet climates. In wet climates, a monolithic slab will be able to withstand moisture in two basic ways. Firstly, it is a material that doesn't corrode after being wet. By contrast, pier and beam foundations are created from wood, which handles moisture relatively poorly. Secondly, because there is no opening between the ground and home, moisture cannot enter. This not just decreases structural damage but similarly damage from mold, which is common in crawl spaces. Mild climates. In extremely cold weather, where ground freezing is common, a basement is a helpful feature of AAMET, indeed it is mandated by some of the building codes. However, if you do not live in an area where it freezes frequently, there is not a similar imperative for a basement. As mentioned above, in mild climates, you can install a monolithic slab foundation to improve overall energy efficiency. In extremely hot or desert weather, a crawl space may be best. In freezing climates, it may be a basement, but in the weathers that fall between the two, for example, the majority of the United States. Thanks for watching. For now, please subscribe, like, share and do not forget to press bell icon.